Hey there.
Hey, how are you, Shannon?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you
I'm
too.
loving, I'm like in love with the hair. I actually have just been, you know how natural hair is. Like you love it and then, then you stop hating it because it just requires so much work. So I've been like literally thinking about braids, like, okay, I think I need a break. So I'm like
Yeah.
in being in
I
hair right now.
I love being a girl and I love being a black woman because you have the versatility. It's just so
You
much
truly
fun.
do. You
The
truly do.
braids, curly, kinky,
Right.
straight.
Right.
You just
Right.
can't go wrong. It's
No.
beautiful. All different variations of it.
Yes, and that is the perfect way to look at it. Instead of trying to hide it, try to
Yeah.
make it something else, like just embrace it and how versatile it is.
Yes.
So,
Exactly. Well, your hair looks healthy and happy, so cheers to the women.
thank you. I'm trying to put a lot of love into it. So, well, anyways, thank you first of all just for hopping on. For looks like some people are hopping on. If you guys are joining, first of all, thank you. Happy Monday. Please get the likes up, tag anybody on this particular podcast you think may find it interesting. Also want to thank you, Shannon, just for taking the time to stop by. I had a chance to look at what you were doing and I thought it just seemed really, inspirational. And I thought it would just be great to hear from you. So often, especially on YouTube space, on Black YouTube in particular, we hear a lot of bad things. We hear a lot of garbage, and so it's really nice. One of my things is wanting to bring different women on and have them, share just their journey. And you bring such a bright light, so much joy, and so I was just eager to get you on and have you share your journey and spread some positivity. So
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
absolutely. Well, okay, I guess we can get right started into the questions. Let me
Okay.
bring them up. Um, yeah, I'm loving that color too. It's very
Thank
coral.
you. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's actually that's like one of my favorite colors.
Yay. I do like color. I love colors. And I even like your microphone. It's cute.
Right. Okay, well we'll get started into the interview. So first, do you want to just start by just introducing just who you are and
Sure. Yes. Well, hey, y'all. It's such a pleasure to be here with Sade and her work that she's doing to just bring really cool content, informed information, different speakers and interviewers here to just hopefully brighten your day. I'm Shannon Parker, and I'm so happy to be here. I am a woman who is probably a lot like you all, busy, full of lots of different priorities, but I've had to learn the hard way to prioritize my health with my faith, food, and fitness. So I now help women thrive in faith, food, and fitness is what
awesome,
I do.
awesome.
I am here for the woman who feels like she knows something isn't quite right in her health and life, and she wants to align her values with her movement and her intention. And so I love to support women, especially because I feel like we have a lot of demand. And I feel like for the most part, we're givers. And so this is a space where I create so that we can prioritize our self-care, have a lot of fun doing it, and joyfully take good care of our health, where it's not something that you don't want to do, but hopefully I can help you want to.
Right.
So I'm I am also a wife. I've been married now for 13 years. We have two children, our son who is 9 years old and our daughter who's 7. So lots of learning, lots of
Mhm.
it's very humbling becoming a parent. There's a lot that you think you know, and then you're like, I don't know anything. Why did I judge anyone? So then we were raising our two kids. We're here in North Carolina, but we've lived all over. Actually, Sade and I met in California,
Yeah.
and she's still on the West Coast over there. And I it was such a pleasure. So we've been able to live in different places, and it's made me have to learn how to be who I am without the familiarity or the comforts or certain circles to make me feel confident in who I am. I've had to be very clear on that as we've lived all over. So in my full-time focus, I do work in ministry along with my family. So we have a church here in the Raleigh area. And I love that part of my heart. And I'm on the back end of the church. So I am the CFO. I oversee actually finance, HR, and legal. So do a lot of work there just to support the structure of our, the back end so we can support and sustain what we do in our mission work. And then also my husband and I are coaches. We're lifestyle wellness coaches. And so he focuses on men. I focus on women. And our goal is to see you thrive holistically. So that's my intro.
That's your intro. I love it. I love it. For those of you who have just hopped on, we're talking about how to level up your life with Shannon Parker, and she just gave us an introduction into just who she is, what you do. I mean, I love it. Like I said, when I was introduced to your business, I just saw the vibrancy and the excitement, and so I think it's also really cool that you've been able to, get your husband in on the.
Yes, yes.
Dress that a little bit.
Yeah, it makes it more fun, to do life together. And, I don't know. I think that after you've been married, and I'm still learning a lot, but there's a lot of things that pull you like away from each other, just life and trying to survive or whatever. There's a lot of things that kind of just, pull you apart a little bit. So you have to really focus on leaning in towards each other. Like God's at center, but you have to like really make it an intentional thing. And so I'm grateful. I asked him several times, but finally he was like, let me do this. And he's been like loving it and looking good. And I'm so proud of him.
That's awesome. So I guess for any of my male followers, I have quite a few male followers. If they're looking for some inspiration, they're looking for some, a fitness coach or a positive group.
Yes. Yeah. Jesse's great. Like, I work exclusively with women, but he works exclusively with men. And I think that's so nice, right? To have that sense of that safe space to be fully yourself, for both men and women. Like we need each other in those spaces where you can relate to each other and you can share your heart and you can show up in ways that motivates you. So I'm big on highlighting the uniqueness of, gender, because I feel like we need each other, but we also need spaces where we can show up, as ourselves fully without having to explain it a lot.
Totally. I mean, that's a word right there, but I don't want to get too sidetracked, but you ain't never told a lie. That's like so facts.
Yes.
Well, also, so moving on to the next question, and you kind of touched upon this, but if you want to just go a little bit more into detail, feel free to. What is it that you do, and what do you love most about your business?
Oh, so basically what I do is help women thrive in faith, food, and fitness. What I love about it is because it's my business, I can really focus in on all three. So sometimes people feel like, okay, to care about my weight or my health is very vain. It's something that I can't really connect to all of me. But because I lead this, I get to lead from all aspects of who we are. We're made of a body, mind, and soul, and you need all of those things. And so I love being able to lead women holistically, because your emotional health is real. Like how you feel matters. And it's also tied to your health, like your hormonal health, which has a lot to do with how you feel emotionally. It's tied to your nutrition. It's tied to your ability to move. And so I found a solution, especially for women, but really ultimately for families, is to be able to serve us in a space where I get to tackle those topics. Like how are you in your faith walk? How are you doing in your nutrition? Do you know what your body needs versus what a diet says you should have? And then how are you doing in your movement? So to me, that's my favorite part. Like I love the holistic side. It's not like a short-term thing or some sort of widget or product. It's like this lifestyle that is so rewarding. So that is my absolute favorite part. And I would also say it's rewarding to see women win, women and men, since your audience is blended, but it's so rewarding to see you win. And that to me makes it worth all of the hard work, because business is not easy. It takes effort, focus, attention, and consistency. So
totally. Now that makes so much sense. And I think, it always, anytime you're able to really put your passion into what you do, I think it always makes you that much more successful and that much more efficient at it.
And I find the areas that we are maybe ashamed of or that we have brokenness in, those are the areas I find that God uses the most.
Mm,
And
yeah,
that's really
absolutely.
a big part of my story. Like I didn't set out to be like, oh, I want to work in faith, food, and fitness. It was
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
was so broken in those areas. And I found that God particularly uses that as our own marketplace ministry, our own outlet to serve and help others. And the area that you feel like, oh my God, I'm so
mm,
ashamed, is the area that God's like, whoop, I'm about to use this to create solution and to help so many others.
yeah.
And that's what I love about leading in business. You don't have to be ashamed. You can create, more than anyone, those pain points. And so you can
Mm,
create a
yeah,
solution to serve. And that's ultimately what it's about.
totally, totally. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Um, okay, so on to the next question. So how does your faith play a role in your life? And again, I know you already touched upon this, but would love to hear you expound a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say the thing that I've been learning the most about faith is that God cares about the inner workings of our heart where no one sees us,
Hmm.
right? Where no one else can watch you. That area is where God cares the most. And I feel like as a society, sometimes we skip over that. We push past it. But that's the area that God wants to move in. And what I've learned is the more that I can prioritize God's presence in my life, the more he helps me to heal in those areas and the
Yeah,
more able I am to serve,
right.
because it's really difficult to lead in anything, including business, when there are areas of your heart. And if you're serving people, like if you're just, like I said, if you're giving a product, you don't have to touch people, then
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
little easier. But if you're in a business of service, like you're serving, you're providing a service, you're leading, you're coaching, you're, working one-on-one or in groups, it requires us to deal with some inner workings in our heart so that we can be in a place where we really can pour out. And
mm,
I think that's the biggest benefit of my faith, that it's positioned me to be very aware of myself. It's not about me. And that's the thing. I do the work behind the scenes so that when
yeah,
I work with someone, it's about them. And I'm completely content to serve them in that area. And so when there are areas where there's these deficiencies, it's hard in any relationship, right? If you have a friend that's like draining and complaining, it's like no one wants
yeah,
to be in that relationship. Same for business leadership. You have to be able to make sure that you're pouring into yourself, and your faith is one of the best anchors because it will keep you centered when life rocks you,
mm,
and when you're working to still prioritize your what you bring in the business market while handling all the other demands. Your faith stabilizes you and it helps you to lead that much better.
yeah, yeah. No, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. Thank you for expounding upon that. Often, sometimes I hear the word faith thrown around, and it's oftentimes so nebulous. People aren't able really to actually to describe like how does it actually impact your daily life, or how does it impact the way that you interact with yourself and your people. So, I love
Yeah.
that explanation.
Yes. And one other thing I wanted to say with faith
Yeah,
is the
totally.
power and the purpose of community. So
Mm.
yes, faith is very, very personal. It's totally personal, but even more so, you still need other people. Like
Oh
sometimes
yeah,
I'm like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And people are like, it's just me and God. Well, God loves people. He moves through people. So you do want to position your heart to be able to receive from others. Like get taught in a really good biblically based church, that's loving and allows you to grow, challenges you, build community, serve, help someone, serve within your church or serve within the community or both, which is a plus. But you want to make sure that you are not isolated. Because when we're isolated, and especially people of faith, we can get really weird. And that's just the honest truth. We get so kind of like in our own head, and we can lose sight of how to connect and serve and help others because we're just kind of in our head. So I also feel like in the faith journey, it's so healthy to still stay connected, right? Connected to community, connected to others while you're still growing in your very personal relationship. And that will, again, help fortify you because it gives you support. We all need help. There's moments where you just need help. Life brings you heartbreaking moments. You just need the support. And someone needs to know you. And if you're always isolated, it's hard for someone to connect with you and be like, hey
yeah,
girl, you good? You
yeah.
know what I mean? And that's something that's so necessary. So I just wanted to say that as well. The faith walk is personal, but it's also interconnected. And so you want to just choose your connections really wisely.
Totally, totally. That makes sense. Makes so much sense. Um, okay, so how did you get started with your career?
Ooh, that's a great one. I think like so many of us, well, I don't, well, I'm assuming. Um, let's see. How did I get started? Well, first of all, my dad was a business owner before he was a pastor. So I grew up seeing faith in action, because when you're a business owner, you really got to know. Look, if you don't know God, you got faith in something, yourself, your future, something. And so I was always attracted to how he just went out and went after it. Like he went after everything. He wasn't waiting for permission. He just made it happen. And he was incredibly successful, incredibly successful.
Hmm.
And it was a huge blessing to our family. So I grew up seeing his success. And so I knew I wanted to study business. I was like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
studying business. I wanted to be exactly like my dad. So I went to college to study business, and I wanted to study finance first. So I actually have a background in business and finance. And the reason for that was I wanted to help to bridge the gap with the wealth disparity, particularly for Black individuals and families in our
Hmm.
country. So I was like, oh, I'm going to study finance, and I'm going to make a change. I'm going to create change for us.
Yeah.
And I ended up studying that. But the beautiful part is that it taught me so many good things. So I end up, kind of cutting my teeth in the stock market world. I was a stock trader, and then I became a financial advisor, and I had my own practice. All
Hmm.
these things were so good because number one, you have to learn how to work with people, and people will not do business with you unless they like you, unless they believe you're competent, unless they see you're trustworthy. So if you don't have like all three of those things, you're going to miss the mark in connecting with
Right.
people.
Right.
Those traits you use in all areas. So for me, I really cut my teeth and became a business owner because I was an independent contractor. I had a practice, and I knew no one. When we moved to California, I knew no one. I had no family, at least in that
Mhm.
area. One cousin in like Southern California. I knew no one. So like God forced me to have to trust him to build this business, and I loved it. And I love that work, and it taught me a lot of key things on business leadership. So, because for someone to say yes, you can, invest my money, that's like their heart, right? Like
Right. Totally.
your
Totally.
treasure's where your heart is. So, someone really has to believe that you are going to serve them, elevate them, and help them for them to say yes to you. Overseeing millions of dollars, and that's where I was. And so, when we moved back to the East Coast, I became a stay-at-home mom. And I did not want that role. I did because my firm was not in the small town we moved to in South Carolina. So I was very angry with God and all the things like what happened. I felt
Mhm.
demoted, but that's when I learned motherhood. I was forced
Interesting.
into it because my career was my identity, and you can ask anyone. I was very prideful. I felt so proud of my achievements, right?
Yeah.
So and all the things, and I really fell into that kind of superficial world of title and accolade and that kind of thing. It was a big part of my identity. So I felt like God in his grace moved me with my husband's career into this small town in South Carolina where no one knew and no one cared. It was a really country town, okay? No one knew and no one cared. And so at that point, I had to really figure out who am I outside of what I do. Because
Yeah.
where I was before, people ask you your name, you're like, what do you do? Like it's just like the thing. So I was like, well, who am I if I'm not doing this? And so it was a really powerful process in identity. And it was a time where I felt my wilderness. I felt very off because all the things I put my faith in and my sense of confidence were just taken away from me, like swept from under my feet. And it was necessary. I needed to prioritize home. I needed to prioritize being a mother. And I did not. I was like, I'm good. Career. And I knew I was going to be a working woman, but like that was everything to me. So
Yeah.
God forced me to come and like confront this. And
Yeah.
I felt like it was, not progressive to be a stay-at-home mom. And God showed me how hard work it is to be a stay-at-home mom. They still have my greatest admiration. It takes so much sacrifice. And a lot of brilliant women are stay-at-home moms. They made the choice to pour into their children. For
Yeah.
that, like again, hats off. So it was humbling for me. And I say all that to say that when we moved here to North Carolina, the stress of all the moving made me incredibly sick. So after giving
Mm.
birth to my children, I ended up having thyroid issues.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
know it. I thought, oh, I'm a new mom. Your hair does thin after you give birth to a lot of women. You
Okay.
do have mommy brain or brain fog.
Yeah.
A lot of my symptoms, I just thought were new mom life. I was very exhausted, but I thought I'm not sleeping because my baby's up all night. So I
Yeah.
just ignored it, like most women,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
people, we ignore ourselves. And that started my health journey. I moved to Raleigh, and within like 6 months, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism.
Oh,
So
wow.
slow functioning thyroid, and Hashimoto's means you have an autoimmune disease, a chronic illness where your body is attacking the thyroid. So
Oh,
what
wow.
happens is that your body can't identify a foreign invader from your natural cells tissue, and it will attack some part of it. So there's MS, lupus, there's
Wow.
lots of different types of autoimmune conditions. And so I was so shocked because I was young. I don't even
Mm.
know if was I even 30? I was young. I was super young. And I was like, what? And I was told that I was going to be on medication for all the days of my life, and there was
Oh, wow.
no reversing
There's
it.
no cure.
So yeah, I became very, very depressed and sad. And long
Mm.
story short, through God's faithfulness, He began to show me that there's hope, because I thought there was no hope. I mean, I trusted my doctors with everything, and there was no cure. It still isn't a cure technically, but I was able to just get God's grace, and I started going to the library. I was like, I believe in healing. I was like, God, you're a healer. This is where your faith comes alive in those hard moments. And God began to show me how to eat. He began to show me like the science. And so I changed my lifestyle. And once I saw that it worked, I
Mm.
launched into business to serve others in the areas of faith, food, and fitness. So that's the story.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
Definitely sounds like
you.
there's some highs and lows, but like I said, I think that's always what makes the story that much more that much more meaningful in the end. We
Yes.
have a few questions. Yeah, so our special guest, is talking about her journey with food and fitness and how she helps women thrive. That is her business, is to help women thrive specifically in those few areas. We had a few questions come through.
Yes.
Curious as to what was going on. So
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. So
yeah,
I
absolutely.
do coaching for women, and I help with my fitness sisterhood. And I also offer my Nourish course, but only twice a year. Like I've had several women ask me this year, I can't do another course, but I once to twice a year, I do a 4-week intensive, and I walk women through one-on-one coaching in a class to really help us heal from within.
That's awesome. That you'll have to keep me posted on your next one
Yeah,
for
I'd
sure.
be happy to.
Awesome. Okay, so on to the next question. Um, so how do you balance work life, home life, self care, and just wearing many hats?
Oh my goodness. I seek out help.
Okay.
I have to first prioritize what is important. And I think, again, I learned that when I was thrusted into being a stay-at-home mom, and I thought that
Mm.
was a demotion. But I've learned to embrace that it's like God, my husband, my family, and then everything else. So home is a priority for me. Home is a priority for me. And I know I need help. So the way that I do it, I can't say it's balanced, but I am very focused. I do outline my priorities every month. Now that's the business side of me, because I can't silo my life. I have to integrate it. So business and ministry work and
Mhm.
wife life and parent life, all that has to come together. I have to see it all together, or I would just not be able to keep all the ducks in a row. So I align my priorities, and then I get help. I build out support systems. So I have someone who helps me with my kid drop off and pick up. So some days I can
Mm.
do it, some days I can't, but I have a schedule of when I can do it, so I can carve out time for other things. I have help in our home, someone who helps me with laundry.
Mm.
I asked for help. And now we live near family during the COVID season, which was really difficult.
Oh, I'm
With
sure.
kids staying at home, and basically you needed to homeschool. My in-laws, my mother-in-law is a retired teacher, and she was willing to teach my kid or support their learning experience from
Oh,
her
wow.
home. So just asking for help is so important, or getting your groceries delivered instead of going
Mhm.
to the grocery store.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing little things that can give you more time is where I value my space now. So
Okay.
now I kind of look ahead and say, what is a priority? Where do I need to spend my time? Well, I like to spend my time. I do like to cook in the kitchen. I like to be around the table with my kids and family, but I don't like to be stressed out trying to get here and there, right? And so
Yeah.
I try to like get support. So I would say by asking for help has been the best thing. And then figuring out when I can say yes and when I can need to say no.
Right.
And those things are a constant battle. I'm still not doing that.
Learning opportunity, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. No, that makes so much sense. And it all sounds like that's probably a journey too of like really knowing the best way to do that.
For sure. Like I'm still learning. I'm constantly like looking up, ways I can calendar plan. I take class and well, I do. I will buy a class on like how to optimize my time and all that stuff because there's so much inside of me and I just want to do what I can do well. But I've also learned what maybe something that I want to do may not be right now. And I've had to
Yeah.
learn how to set things aside, focus on what's the need. Like I said, kids and your family will make you have to get off of your own high horse and serve, their needs. Like I may have to support my children in their school, and that means that other things I have to say no to. So that's where it's a learning experience. Like you said, I'm constantly trying to make sure I'm in tune to what's the most important need in alignment with my values that I've said are a priority for me and my family.
Totally, totally. Yeah, I know. And it's funny to say that about time management. I literally was thinking that the other day where I was like, I want to find some resources on how to be more efficient with time. Because especially, when you're running your own business, it's one thing to kind of be in a corporate space, which I was at for a while, where they basically dictate to you how you're going to do your day. But now when things change or you find yourself that like you're on your own, it's a totally different kind of worm. So
Oh my gosh. Yes, 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 yes. There are some really cool resources. I'd be happy to like message you some that I have found,
yeah, that'd be great.
that have helped me with routine and planning and all the like. So I'll be happy to share those.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be awesome. So for those of you who just hopped on, thank you. Please get the likes up. Tag anybody on this video you think may find it interesting. And we're talking about how to level up. Shannon Parker is just sharing her personal journey and the different ways she helps women thrive. So we appreciate all of you who can hop on. And yeah, we're going to move on to the next question. Okay. So how has your business impacted your husband and your children?
Ooh, I think the biggest thing is that when you find your passion and your purpose, it lights you up inside. And I
Mm,
feel like you become more alive. And I think sometimes we hear that question like, oh my God, what's my purpose? And it sounds so daunting. But
yeah.
to me, the better question is who's my purpose? Who am I here to serve? And a lot of times, again, the area of brokenness that you have is the area that God will use, especially in
Mm,
business. And so for me, I have become more alive. Number
mm,
one, because when I was very, very sick, I felt like the walking dead. I had no energy. I felt bone
mm.
tired. I felt that I lost a sense of myself. I was gaining weight every month. I couldn't remember basic arithmetic, which I needed for my job.
Wow.
I could remember to spell words like fish. That's when I knew something scary was going on. Something was not right in my body, and I felt so hopeless. So when you get to taste healing and when you get to experience like restorative like energy,
Yeah.
it just makes you a better person. So for me, I was so sick for so long, and I still deal with flare ups from here, every now and then. But I was so sick that I could not be a great woman, wife, mom at all. I was just bone
Mm,
exhausted. So it's my business was a birthing from my own experience in my health journey and
mm,
learning how to lead myself and then duplicate the processes and the experiences to serve others just made me that much more clear with my time, that much more intentional with my time.
mm,
Now my children know that I prioritize working out and they are like, they get it, they can come along with me, but they know my space. They know when it's my moment. And I love that because I think that as you grow up, for my children, I want, especially my daughter, to see that women, we have to prioritize our self-care or we'll
yeah,
be dependent all.
totally, totally.
So
Yeah.
my business has made me pushed me to become a better woman, because it's made me get clear on what is my path of like living vibrantly and how can I share that in a way that will serve others. It's made me intentional with my time, because now it requires more time, so I have to be smarter with my time. And it's also made me it's pushed me to kind of fail forward, be open to learning, be open to growing. I think that's one of my favorite parts of being in business, that you get to learn so much, whether it's new technology or new ways of connecting with your audience or serving your current clients or involving your family so they can get healthier with you. It's just put me in the state of constant growth and learning. And I love that mindset. So I'm definitely a better woman for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I see this comment. I just hopped on. So glad to see a married woman and not promoting using our bodies. Yes. That's what we're about here. Sharing some positivity. So
Yes.
oh man, that's a good one. Okay, so what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned? Yeah. So what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned over your years of marriage? We're kind of switching gears a little bit here and just having
Yeah.
yeah.
My biggest lessons I've learned, that it's never 50-50. It's always 100-100. Both people have to give 100%. Like if you rely on the other person to meet you halfway, or you only going to give half of what you could give, it is going to be a deficiency. There's going to be a gap. So I have learned to not make a mountain out of a molehill, right? Like to let little things go. And it's humbling, but you have to ask. The person who asks for forgiveness first is the most courageous. You're going to need to forgive. You're going to need to be forgiven, and you're going to need to forgive. So it's really this powerful interplay between how you grew up, your expectations with theirs. And then once you come to the sense that that person isn't what you imagined or what you expected, then the hard work really begins, right? Because love is a choice. You have to choose to love. And that means, especially when you don't feel like it, right? And even when you think you're right, one of the best things that I've learned is like, instead of being right, let me just do what's right for this relationship. Because me being right and then causing this rift and being in my pride, like I told you so, and coming down on the person that I say I love is so like hypocritical, you know? And I think when it comes to marriage, I love authenticity, not this fake stuff. I want to see a married woman, especially, honor her husband when he's not in the room. I want her to treat him well, speak well of him when he's not in the room, but especially when he is. I never liked when I saw a married person, like, I don't say dehumanize, but just make that person feel so low. You know what I mean? Joking totally at their expense. And that's not healthy. And it's only making you feel big and bad, but for what? Marriage is about becoming one. It is a level, like I said, of leaning in, and you have to be willing to go 100. Like, give your best and not look for, when I first got married, it was like tick for tack. I did this. You better be taking note. I did this, so you need to do that. And it was this constant, like, tallying up of who did what and who's giving the most. And we definitely did that when we first had our son. It was like, well, I changed him. And it's like this. That's exhausting to worry so much about the other person. How about I love you? The Bible says love covers a multitude of sins. How about I just love you? And if that bothers me, the fact that you kick off your shoes or that you hang up your whatever, your towel in a way I don't like, I'm going to fix it and move on with life, because I love you more than these small little things that are not even that serious, right? There's certain things that will change with time, and there's certain things that are not. And when you get married, initially, you kind of like skip over the things that may annoy you. Like, you're like I noticed that my husband didn't make up his bed. When I would go into his place, I was like, you don't make up your bed when you wake. And that wasn't a big deal when we were dating. But when we got married, for whatever reason, that really frustrated me. And I'm like, you don't make up your bed. And I just started like character assassination. You're not, And it's like, wait, we should be able to be in a marriage where we can be authentically ourselves, because I'm not perfect. I have a lot of frailty, a lot of brokenness, a lot of vulnerability, and he's not perfect. I create a space where my marriage becomes almost like this holy ground where God can trust me to steward the man of God he's given to me and
Right.
love him enough that he can be himself and that I can cover for him and he can cover for me. Meaning that I'm not going to make a big deal of something that isn't a big deal, right? I want to get to the essential part of our relationship, and I want to spend more time enjoying him and who we are, so that when we go out, it's not fake, it's not forced, it's authentic. So I
Right.
think that being marriage to me has taught me that it's not, I don't need to be right. You know what I mean? I just need to do what's right in this relationship.
Mm. Well, you dropped some jewels in that one. Sound like that came from some fire and some tribulation. That's what
Yes, girl. Yes. Marriage will do that to you real quick. Real quick.
Well, thank you for those of you who hopped on. Please get the likes up and tag anybody on this video you think may find it interesting. We're talking about how to level up your life with Shannon Parker, and she's just sharing her journey and how she helps women thrive. So, yeah, those are some, I may need to review that part. um, okay, so in your opinion, can a woman pursue her career, passions, and a romantic relationship at the same time?
Yes, of course. I say this like that because I do believe that God has given us life and that life much more abundantly. And so I believe God wants us to thrive, and that he wants us to explore these things that he's put inside of us. He's made us all so unique, and like he's so intentional, right? And I want women to live fully fulfilled. But I will tell you, to me, the key, the secret is learning how to be courageous enough to take care of you, to do the work that's required for you individually.
Mm.
And I think that a lot of times I see that we as women may have insecurities that make us lash out on other women or become
Mm.
critical or judgmental. But really, it's a reflection of your own heart. There's something there that you need to just focus on, and we need to see, and we need to give ourselves space and time to be open to healing constantly. Because
Right.
even in having a fulfilled life, if you're relying on people and accolades and things to fulfill you, you're really not living a full life. You're living a life that is temporal based, because so
Mm.
much changes. So our heart has to be anchored in God. And when we anchor our heart in God, our children don't become our glory. Our marital status doesn't become our glory. Our job doesn't become our glory. We have our right priorities. God is our glory. He's our crown. He's our all in all. And then as we align our heart and we get to like inwardly see, like, God, what did you put in me? What am I naturally gifted in? You know what I mean? What do I do so easily that everybody else is like, girl, that's hard. And you're like, really? That's
Right.
easy.
Yeah.
That's a gift, right? You may like, don't step over your gifts. There's so many gifts in you. And I think if we take enough time to not be so caught up and captivated with other people's lives, and we take
Mm.
the time to go inward and look inside and be like, God, you've placed so much in me. The Bible says, and let the beauty of our Lord be upon us, establish the works of our hands. God's beauty is upon you. And when we are open to letting him shine and like show us our gifts, we can begin to get courageous enough to be confident, right? I always say to the women I coach, what precedes confidence? Courage.
Mm.
Courage always
Right. Right.
confidence. So when you're courageous enough to get comfortable with you, then it
Right.
makes it so much easier. It's so much easier to go after the other things, because now you're not going after something because you saw something on Instagram or your sister has that. You are going after it because, God, this is what I desire. I want to do this. And I think taking care of yourself first allows you to be a better woman, right? And a better wife, because then it's too much weight to put on someone, especially your spouse,
Mm.
if you're feeling it, so insecure and down for an extended amount of time. We all
Right.
get down. But you
Right.
know what I mean? Like, it's just so draining. You're looking for them to affirm you every day. And that's too much weight to put on someone else.
Mm.
Take your power back, right? And be like, you know what, God, I'm going to do this inner work. I'm going to come to you. I'm going to like get help. You know what I mean? Like, explore therapy and connecting with, community that you can trust. Get the help you need so that you can go out and live a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
Then you can be in that relationship, and not feel like you put so much of your hope on that it becomes too heavy and weighty on the person you're dating. Because if
Yeah.
we're very if there's that level of insecurity and we're really relying on them to complete us, I hate that phrase, like, you complete me. No, no, no. Even my husband knows, like, I don't look to my husband to make me happy. I make me happy. Like, I love him, but I am in control of my own happiness. I would never put the weight of my happiness on someone else. That's a lot. Like, I change all the time. Like, look at our hair. I want really straight, cut, colored. For me to have you try to anticipate everything that's gonna make me happy it's a little too much for me. I don't even know what I want yet.
Yeah.
So I've learned to take that weight off of him. And that has allowed me to just thrive because I'm not waiting on anyone else to give me permission or space to be myself and to become. And it's so freeing. And the same thing for having children. When we have children, they're a gift for sure, but they're not your identity. And we want to pour into our children without the pressure of them having to live through whatever dream we have that we felt was unfulfilled. If you take care of you, you're going to be so fulfilled. It's going to take the weight off of other people.
Yeah. No, that's some more jewels. Like, you're giving me all these little snippets. I'm gonna make my job really easy. Thank you. I see so many people are addicted to their social media likes. That hurts relationship. That is facts. I've actually talked about this before on, women comparing their lives to Instagram or comparing their reality to a fake digital reality, and how it can be really, really, that can be really that's really toxic, and it always leads to just feeling bad about yourself. And I mean, Instagram and Facebook themselves actually have reports that have shown this, that people, the more people are on social media, sometimes the more mentally they can be unwell. So you make a really great point about making sure that you have I think having healthy expectations is really key, so that you go into any situation, whether it's a relationship, even a friendship, expecting that person has to fill a void where it's something that you need to take responsibility for, and also knowing that things don't have to be siloed, because I can say in my life, I've heard so often somebody say, oh, well, I don't have time for a relationship because I'm focusing on my career, or I don't have time for this because I'm doing that. And sometimes that is the case, but sometimes that can also be an excuse, especially if that person feels insecure or they feel scared to actually embrace that area. So I like how you talked about how it's okay to do those things all at once, So
yeah. I think the most important thing is don't neglect yourself in any season of that, part of your destiny, your pursuit, and your purpose. Like, keep being in tune to yourself, because that doesn't change with marital status or you becoming a mother or whatever life changes occurs. You have to stay in tune to you. And to your point, we have to be cognizant of when something is not serving us anymore, and that can be in reality, in social media, which is its own version of reality. But like, when we have to ask yourself, is this person or this experience serving me? And where you have a choice, make the choice, right?
Right.
And that's healthy too. That's really healthy. People that we surround our heart with should be people that are pouring into us, encouraging us. But I always say, if you want a friend, you got to show yourself friendly too. And that's in every relationship. So let's be careful of what we exude so that we attract the right thing in the areas that we care about the most, relationship wise. But yes, it's so important that we identify how to stay healthy because it's hard. We all get captivated with it. I'm definitely not immune, and you just have to be cognizant of, like, anything else. Okay, I need to step back from this, right? It's like stepping away from, something that isn't good for you. Like, I need to step back away from this. This is not healthy for me at the moment. And only right? Only we know. So we're the ones that are gonna have to make that call.
Yeah, I've seen this whole BBO craze has gotten out of control too. I'm only 120 pounds, not thick or endowed. That's real. That is absolutely real. Going back to the earlier point where, women constantly go online and compare their bodies to things that are actually fake. I mean, the first time I got like an editing app, I guess there's this thing called, Facetune. Many people are probably familiar with Facetune. I think they also have like BodyTune or something, but I was surprised to go on and see how much I could completely adjust my face. It was
Wow.
creepy. I mean, make my nose smaller, make my lips bigger if I wanted to, change the color.
Wow.
Like it was creepy. And they have the same thing for bodies. And so it's like, even we know, like in magazines growing up, we would see some of those magazines already knowing there was photo editing, already knowing there was slimming down those bodies. And now we have it, and it's the same thing on social media where people are going as far to edit images or to actually edit their body and take out fat and add fat in certain places or get implants. And, that's obviously unhealthy to a young woman who is
Yeah.
comparing their natural body to somebody's body who's been fabricated or made in a lab. It's like, you
Yeah.
can't really, I don't know how to put it. So,
Yeah.
going back to to what you were saying earlier, I think that's why you have to give yourself permission sometimes to step away and be like,
Yeah.
I love this thing, but right now it's not serving me, and making sure that you're taking the proper steps to actually make sure you're being happy from the right source and not looking at from the wrong source.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So, we're almost done with the questions. This one, what advice would you give younger women seeking to become wives, mothers, businesswomen, or all of the above?
Ooh, to my younger self or to a young woman, I would say, be wise in your friendships.
Mm.
Be wise in your friendships, because when you're in transition, whether it's like young, like high school or, college, you're in a transition, and it's already a time where you're not quite where you want to be. You don't
Right.
know where
Right.
you're going to be. It's like this weird in between space. So for
Totally.
young women, I would say that, you want to get bougie with your friends, meaning not by like wealth status, but I'm talking about quality from the inside, like a jewel inside. So ask yourself, are the friends that you're around, do they make you feel happier? Do they make you feel good? Or do you always feel bad? Can you only laugh with them if you're self-deprecating or things like that? Because friendships are really a powerful part of your heart work. And I think that's why the
Mm.
Bible says, like, guard your heart above all else, because out of it flows the issues of life. And so I would say friendships are really like whoever's your counsel, who's pouring into you. It doesn't even have to be friends, but I would start getting wisdom.
Yeah, definitely.
And I
Definitely.
think that will help protect your heart, and you really do have to protect your heart, because you're transitioning. So for the young woman who wants to go after these things, keep it in front of you, girl. Keep that vision in front of you. But more than that, ask the Lord to lead you. Ask him to direct you, because you're really going to need like that Holy Spirit intelligence to make the decisions that are going to keep you out of some things that will take too much time and cause you to regress and go back on places you don't want to go. So let God redeem your story, let God lead you, and be open to growing and learning. And never feel like you have a fixed point in your life. Be open to like God busting that all up, and you getting in a new level of living every single day. But if you can take good quality care of yourself, and you can make sure you're pouring into yourself, you're getting into the Word of God, you're making sure you have healthy relationships that surround your heart, you are already going to thrive. You're going to already exude this God confidence. It's going to help you rise above most people, because in my mind, I believe most people live beneath their purpose. They live really a mediocre, everyday, common lifestyle. But to live in an elevated place is to step into your purpose, which is very uncomfortable. So for the woman who wants to go after it, start first with your heart. Go after God, ask him to lead you, and then expect God's best. And just get ready, because it's incredible.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Looks like I lost my um yeah, like I said, just I got a lot of jewels. That's all I'm gonna say. I think you got me my next 5, 6 videos.
Love it.
um okay, so yeah, so on to the last question. What steps can women take to start living a more fulfilling life today?
I would say get clear about what's your priority. Like, what's your priority? And then if you're thinking about it from a business standpoint, you need to come up with how you're going to solve a problem. because sometimes we want to do things and we think it's business and it's more of a hobby. So you really want to get clear about what is your priorities in your life. Does it mean to own a business, or does it mean to focus on your health individually, right? Or focus on relational health, right? There are seasons where you just have to outline, what do I need to do? And I think this is the crazy thing for me. Most people don't outline their goals for themselves. Like, we stop writing goals. I mean, it doesn't stop with New Year's resolution. It'd be great if you outline your goals every month. Like, this is important for my house. What do I need to get done in my home? What do I want to get done in my finances? What do I need to do for my business and my marriage? You can't stop dreaming and you can't stop prioritizing, because as soon as you do that, you don't know if you're hitting the target or not, because you didn't even give yourself something to, go after. So how can you go after life with as much, excitement and zeal if you have no target, no goal, no achievement, no vision in front of you? Without a vision, the people perish. So I want, all of you that are watching, I want you to live life abundantly. That means you have to get clear about your vision. I encourage you to actually write it down. Go old school on me. Like, look,
vision boards. Oh, looks like I lost you. You there?
I think I Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now.
I was so excited, but I was saying, find a pencil. I have kids, so I have pencils. But anyway, find a pen or pencil and physically write it down. I know that we use our phone apps and they're fun, but I really want you to write it down, because when you write it down, it's a different mechanism that you're using, a different brain power, and it becomes that much more tangible. So I want you to write down your goals for yourself for the month. I want you to, it doesn't need to be long. I mean, give me like 3. What's your 3 power focuses? What do you want to achieve? By the end of October, what's a priority for you? What do you need to do? Because sometimes we procrastinate and we hide from things that we know we need to do, right? What are you afraid of and not tackling, right? I always say, confront what's confronting you. So go after the things that you need to. Prioritize your time. That way you can live a fulfilling life. You're not living life just haphazardly. You're clear. Most people aren't clear because they're caught up in comparison, or they're caught up in what everybody else is doing. I want you to get clear on what you need to do. And that's why I said, ask God to lead you. I'm not saying every little thing, but God, what do I need to fulfill in this month coming up? This is a perfect time to have this conversation, because it's like, you get to set the tone. But don't let another day go by, another week go by, and you're just like not getting clear about how you want to live your life, because time is time. It's precious. And you're going to look back like, wow, a whole year went by, and am I any further? Did I go where I thought I needed to? I can tell you, if you didn't write down your goals, you didn't, because the stats are there. It's almost like 90%. If you don't write down your goals, 90% of people who do write down their goals, like, they see it happen. If you don't, you don't. So I want people to live a life that's intentional. I love the quote by Darius Daniels. You don't want to live a life by default. You want to live a life by design. So you're going to have to outline this thing, figure out what matters to you, and then go hard after it. And you will then experience a fulfilled life.
Awesome. That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, I got some really, really good content. Like I said, you've given me a few new videos. I appreciate that. A lot of jewels. Thank you, all of you women who have hopped on and shared. And I appreciate you really sharing your journey and letting us know some of the challenges that you've had and how this has really helped you move forward in your business and just in your life in general. So all just really beautiful points that you've shared with us.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
So do you have any other closing remarks or anything else you would like to leave with the audience before we close out?
Thank you so much, you all, for being a part of this conversation. It's my hope that you gain something that just elevates your life. I love what Sade has named this talk, which is about leveling up living a life that is purposeful, that's elevated, that's fulfilling, that's impactful in the ways that matter to you. So I pray that this was a great conversation, that you're able to get some really good nuggets for your life individually, for your relationships, and for your health. And so, yeah, if this encouraged you and you like more of this, I invite you to connect with me on Instagram or on Facebook at Forever Finesse. And, I continue to share my journey and help women, especially. But when you help the woman, you help the household. You know what I mean? Like the woman, we have so much influence. But I definitely share all things faith, food, and fitness on online and on my website at shannonparker.org.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and I'll be sure to leave some of that within the description of the video, so that they can
Thank
have
you so
access to
much.
it.
Thanks for having me, Sade. I
Yeah,
so
it was
appreciate it.
awesome. No, this is awesome. You're welcome on anytime. Thank you for sharing. You're just taking time out of your day, your busy schedule, I'm sure, to share with us and give us some wisdom. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And to all you guys who are tuned on, I'm going to leave the information to follow her in the description of the video, and then I'll also post it in the community tab so you guys can find her there also. So awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're going to wrap it up, and just enjoy the rest of your day, week. I hope you have a great time aligning and setting your goals for October.
Yes. Yep. I have my calendar ready. It's over here.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well,
Thank you, Sade.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.